FPL is finally back, and the Game Week 32 deadline is tomorrow. In this video, we're going to take a look at how my team is lining up for Game Week 32, as well as some quick thoughts on Game Week 33 and the transfer I've already made in advance of the double game week. We're also going to take a look at two teams that face off in Game Week 32 that have the same number of points and identical records, and think about who would finish higher this season. Welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Femi. Let's jump into it. All right, so first things first, let's take a look at how the team looks in Game Week 32. I did do one transfer. I took out Chalaba, who is injured, and replaced him with Hecke. The reason being the fixtures are too good. They're away to Burnley and then away to Spurs and home to Chelsea in the double Game Week 33. I think he's a solid option. He has 120 points. He's 4.5 million. Really can't go wrong with him. And I think he's definitely probably the best Brighton asset, and he will get the minutes and will be a good, reliable threat, as well as option from a DEFCON perspective. But when you look at the other parts of the team, we have Royce and Ballard, who are both yellow flagged. Royce, obviously my goalkeeper, and Ballard, the defender at Sunderland. They have a good fixture against Tottenham, so I'm really hoping that they do recover and are able to be played. And then I do have Saka. So the thing with Saka is they are playing in the early game on Saturday, and I have an option here that I just thought of if Saka isn't fit, and it goes into Game Week 33 and the strategy. So I only have my triple captain and bench boost chips left. And so my idea, and I mentioned on X, was to use my triple captain in Game Week 33 and potentially use it on a player such as like a Palmer. So my thought process is very simple. Like, the doubles aren't that great. You know, I'm looking at Game Week 33 and looking at my squad and looking and seeing and thinking where the points going to come from. You know, every team has a good fixture and then a bad fixture, unless, in my opinion, you're Brighton or Chelsea, with, you know, City doubling against Arsenal, which is a worst fixture, and then Burnley, which is one of the best fixtures away. And so ultimately, I think it's time to take a chance and upside on a player like a Palmer as a triple captain option. And, you know, guys, let me know if you're thinking anyone else you would use the triple captain chip on. Obviously, Semenyo could also be a great option because he's been in great form. But I like to sort of keep it on midfielders, so that's the thinking there. And we all do know that Palmer can explode at any time, even though he's had a tough season. Triple captain, you got to take a risk. And with only 7 game weeks left, it's really the time to do that. The other thing is this. So Arsenal plays the next 3 or 4 games at home, while City plays the next 3 or 4 games away. I really think a lot of the points that we're going to get in the FPL are going to be in these next 3 to 4 game weeks. So it makes sense to sort of use a chip in this week. And then by that same token, I can save my bench boost chip in Game Week 36 or 35 or down the line. The thing with the bench boost is it's not going to probably be ready for me. It's too much work to think about which players I'm going to bring in for Game Week 33, which is just 1 game week away. And the doubles, like I mentioned, aren't good enough that it doesn't make sense to sort of rearrange my whole team in a week's time to do that. So that's the thought process. And so what I could do with Saka, getting back to that, is I could just get him out this game week, put in Palmer, have him for Man City at home, which he's, you know, done well in, former club. It could be a good revenge game for him to get going again. We know that Chelsea is playing for Champions League, and with the news today that the top 5 teams will be getting Champions League, it's really important that they do secure that. So they have a lot to play for. So that's how I'm looking at my team. And now let's jump into the part of the video I wanted to talk about 2 teams with the same amount of points and the same amount of record who are facing off in Game Week 32. So the 2 teams that have the same amount of points and same records are Everton and Brentford. And they face off in Game Week 32 with Brentford at home. This is such an interesting matchup because they have Europe to play for. Now, with the knowledge that the 5th team is going to get Champions League football, and with Brentford being around 3 points back, this is a great opportunity. They could be in the Champions League. And same for Everton. They're right there, and these teams have been very consistent. One team has been better at home in Brentford, and one team has been better away in Everton. So it's quite an interesting matchup from that lens as well. They both have similar teams in the sense of Brentford has a strong manager in Keith Andrews, who's wowing everyone in his first season. I think Brentford has, you know, a reliable defense and midfield, but the difference is they have the key striker up top in Thiago, the second leading scorer in the league, someone who's exploded on the scene and is looking for a call up to be in the World Cup squad, the final squad for the World Cup for Brazil. And then on the Everton side, you have quite a different dynamic in the sense that they have the starting goalkeeper for England in Pickford, a strong defense with Tarkowski and Keane, and then the midfield is really the strength of their team with Kieran Dewsbury-Hall and Dye, and obviously James Garner, who can play right back as well. And then up front, there is where they have the weakness with Beto, although he scored a brace against Chelsea in their last game in Game Week 31, and Barry, two strikers that, aren't typically the strikers you think of in a Champions League level type squad. So it'll be interesting to see if the midfield can carry them through. Ultimately, they are also led by David Moyes, who's an experienced Premier League manager, and you would think that could give him the edge as you look at, qualification for Champions League. The last thing to take a look at in terms of which team will finish higher is the fixtures. So for Brentford, the next 3 or 4 fixtures are at home. For Everton, the next 3 or 4 fixtures are away. So playing to their strengths, Brentford being the stronger home team, and Everton being one of the top, 4 teams in terms of away record so far this league. In this league this year. So if you give your comment below on which team you think will finish higher, you're going to put pressure on me to think of which team would be, I think I'm going to go with Brentford. The home record really, I think, plays up in the last part of the season. And, just having your fans to give you that extra push, and what an accomplishment it would be for, first-year rookie manager to get Champions League football potentially. And if he were to do that, I think Keith Andrews definitely deserves the Premier League Manager of the Year award. So that's it for me. I'm almost at 300 subscribers. If you could like and subscribe below for this video, I'd appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.